Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and I have been ranking my 366 favorite video games of all time through every day of 2024. Today is Monday, November 11th. Today's game is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, this is not the main ranking video for these games. Rather, I've been doing with every mainline Pokemon game I've ranked a companion video ranking the new Pokemon that were introduced that generation just on their own. So I do want to mention that I have not played the DLC for these games. This is just going to be the Pokemon that were added in the base game. I quite like the game and I plan to play the DLC, but they came out later in 2023, and obviously I've been busy this year. So that'll happen, but those Pokemon aren't in here. For example, I do really like Terapagos. It's a fun little Pokemon, very pretty, but it won't be ranked here. All right, on to the rankings. So the worst one is Flittle. I actually don't hate any of the Pokemon this generation. Usually there's one or two that I'm like, wow, this thing really sucks. That's not the case with Scarlet and Violet. That being said, there are a lot more than average, I think, that I'm kind of neutral to just like, oh yeah, I like it, as opposed to as many things that I think are spectacular. But the things that I like, I do really like. So there's a lot of things going on here. So Flittle is just like, yeah, it's there. I don't really care. So Veluza, this is kind of just a fish, and I don't really tend to like Pokemon that are just like, for example, just being a fish. Now it's kind of an interesting fish. I like the fins, the spikes, its goofy face. So it's fun, I guess, but it's not that interesting. Nimble. I hate bug Pokemon. I really hate bug Pokemon. That being said, the idea that this is the worst bug Pokemon for me in this generation means that actually bug Pokemon are okay this time around. I like its little like almost like bicycle bell chirping it does, because it's based on a like a grasshopper, and yeah, it's fun for that. Steel Bug is kind of neat. And then the other thing that does hold it back is it's so tiny and hard to see, like in the game, especially if it's in grass, that a lot of times I'll be running and I will just start an encounter with one of these and I didn't even know it was there. Toad's Cruel. Okay, so Scarlet and Violet have a huge thing about redoing old Pokemon, but not like regional variants. There's a couple, but only a couple. So most of them, there's a plot reason, but there's a couple as well that are just, hey, these are different species. It's not a regional variant compared to some Gen 1 stuff, but it's also not part of the story thing going on here, and we just wanted to do them. I don't get it. So Toad's Cruel is obviously Tentacruel, but it's on land. I do like that it's like a fighting type and it's going to punch you with all these, I'm going to call them legs, because I guess they're technically not tentacles, like it walks on them. But yeah, it's weird. It's very unoriginal. I wish they had made something really new. It is kind of fun to see them walk around though. And speaking of that, Toad's Cool is next at number 99. So I do like Toad's Cool a little more than Toad's Cruel, mostly because, as you can kind of see in this art here, it's really goofy to watch run. The running animation in the games and everything else is very funny, and also the big head is especially comical. I think it accentuates it a little more than it did with Tentacool. So it's funny. I like it for that. Also, by the way, most of the art here is of Pokemon trading card game. There's a couple of things I had trouble finding suitable art that I could insert in here. So there's a few things that have other sources, either some other fan art or just like screenshots from the games. But for the most part, it's official art from the TCG. So Lokix is a little bug Pokemon as well. This is what Nimble evolves into. So it is a lot cooler. It's neat in that regard, but it's also like still kind of dumb, because guess what? This thing's still like an inch tall. You can't see that in this art, but yeah, it's real tiny. And I guess if you really like the cricket, the little gun. Oh, did I say grasshopper earlier for Nimble? I meant crickets. I know what animals are, guys. I swear. So the cricket, the little gun in Men in Black, that Will Smith shoots, that's like super tiny but crazy powerful. If you love that idea, the idea that a bug can kick a bus and it's gonna flip, then hey, you might really like low kicks. I don't care. So, Limit. This is kind of a weird, mysterious evolution line that has a little bit of a story implication. There's this big crater in the middle of the region, and it's called Area 0, and there's a lot of unknown stuff going around down there. Turns out that this evolution line is from that part of the region, and you only find that out like in the post game, like the very end of the story, even though the league champion that you have to defeat to become champion yourself does use these Pokemon, and it's like, hey, where did she get that? So it's kind of neat to have that sort of mystery, that sense of the unknown. But generally, I don't care about the design. I don't care about the Pokemon's attacks. Nothing about the Pokemon is especially interesting to me, other than that it's like unique and out there. So Citadel, a lot of the snow and ice Pokemon in this generation, I felt like, I don't know, they don't feel that inspired to me. I mean, this guy can ball up and roll around. I guess it's kind of like a snowball almost, so that's sort of fun. He's got a huge mouth. I love it when they've got a huge mouth. But overall, I just don't care that much about Citadel. So Arctibax, this is the middle evolution line for another ice type in this game. And really, I do feel like they made the world and they were like, oh, there's this snowy mountain region. We have to add ice Pokemon. And they're like, oh crap, we forgot. Ice Lizard, okay. So yeah, I don't really... I feel like a lot of the ice Pokemon were afterthoughts here, whereas there's a lot of other cool ones of other types, and we'll get to them. So this is the Paradox Pokemon, the story reason for having Pokemon riffing off of other pre-existing Pokemon. There are, depending on whether you're playing Scarlet or whether you're playing Violet, there are Pokemon from the past for Scarlet or Pokemon from the future for Violet. This is kind of a story spoiler, but you do kind of, they allude to it pretty quickly. Now, how they get there, I'm not going to get into that. But the idea here is that all of the future Pokemon are in Violet, all of the past Pokemon are in Scarlet. I hate the naming scheme for the future Pokemon. They are all Iron Thing, and it's so dumb. Like, why is it that this future one has dumber names? Like, just crazy to me. So overall, though, I also kind of don't like the Pokemon. There are some I do like, and we'll get to those. But for the most part, just like with like Toad's Cruel and stuff, it's just very unoriginal and I think lazy. Is a gimmick. I do not like this gimmick. They messed up on this game with this gimmick. And actually, I have a lot more thoughts about it that I share in the main video, but if you check that out, you'll get to hear all that. Iron Treads. This is future Donphan, which I guess I kind of like the eyes, but that's like it. Iron Jugulus. This is future Hydreigon, I think. And like, it's kind of neat. I don't like Hydreigon all that much. I might like this actually more than Hydreigon. There's certain parts about the pattern and the colors that I think are accentuated better here than on the original Pokemon. So it's okay. Iron Thorns. This is one of the worst defenders as far as just being another Pokemon again. It's barely different than Tyranitar. Barely different. But as you'll learn when I eventually cover those games, I really like Tyranitar, so I guess it does get a little boost. So Glimmora, this is what Glimmet evolves into. You start to see it taking shape into something actually interesting looking. They're not petals, they're actually, I don't remember if those are like crystals or whatever they are, but they're not petals. It's a rock Pokemon, actually. So they start to like blossom, bloom, whatever, open up, however you want to call it. And it starts to look a bit more interesting. But there's some more that'll happen here. So Cetitan, this is what Citadel evolves into, and actually I do kind of like Cetitan. I love the idea of big snow monster in the snowy mountains. You know, they'll never hear you scream. So the idea of just big giant snow monster is actually pretty fun. So Pomo, one of the main supporting characters in this generation, both in the game and also she pops up in the TV show, but she's not necessarily gonna be there all the time, is Nemora. And this evolution line is her partner Pokemon. They're fun, they're cute, they're called, so it's Pawmi, Pomo, Pawmot, and they do, all of them have paw, and that's because they're an electric Pokemon that can generate electricity out of other parts of their body, but they largely shoot electricity out of their paws, and there's some really fun, cute stuff that I'll go over in the other parts of the evolution line. Tadbulb. This is a tadpole that is a light bulb. That's kind of all I've got on this. It's cute, and I like that idea. Make more of these. That's good. Flamigo. So this is another one that's really just like, this is a real life animal that we are calling a Pokemon. Oh yeah, the beak is curved more. That's kind of it. But all things considered, I like flamingos. I think they're a neat animal. I think that if you've ever been to a zoo or anywhere else that you can see flamingos, they're pretty fun actually. They're cool. I love the trivia about how they're not, born pink, they're born white, but then everything turns pink because of their diet. That's kind of actually interesting, and there's a lot of fun stuff in nature, and I think flamingos are pretty fun. So Baxcalibur, this is what Arctobax evolves into, and this is definitely a step up from Arctobax. I think that it's still relatively uninspired. Most just, hey, big dumb monster Pokemon are not that creative to me, but there is something to be said about like this almost Godzilla-like monster in the mountains and the ice and the snow, and it's really powerful, and it's cool for that. I do like the icicles hanging from its mouth. That's a fun design element. So Rellor is really interesting. This is a bug Pokemon that I actually kind of like. Rellor, the whole thing about Rellor is the ball. You can see the ball in the art there. And the idea is that it runs around and it protects this ball. In the Pokedex entry, it explains that it values the ball more than it values its own life. And there's a lot to do with this Pokemon and its evolution regarding the ball that I will kind of explain when I get to the evolution. But Rellor is pretty neat. So Orthworm, of the few times they've tried to make a worm Pokemon, this is the best one. There's not many. So there's a few things I like about Orthworm. One, I know that this isn't the anatomically correct word for worms, but the neck, I'm gonna call it the neck. This area there, I do like. I think it's an interesting looking design, but mostly I love its giant stupid mouth and its tiny dumb eyes. And that, it's a steel worm. I think is it steel ground, I think, but the idea of how the jaw hinges is fun, and there's a lot of neat things that are cute about the design. So Pawmot, this is the final evolution of this line, and this is the one that actually is like, oh man, this thing could hurt somebody, and it does a lot more focus on the paws. You can really see it in this art. It is shooting out crazy electricity from the paws. It's fun, it's cute, it's powerful, so it's cool for that. Frigibax, this is actually the start of the Arctibax, and then Baxcalibur, there we go. The Arctibax and then Baxcalibur line. I like this more than the others because it's just a cute little, like, there's nothing going on in that brain up there. It is just lost, wandering the mountains, and you see it and you're like, hey, little guy, where's your parents, buddy? Let's go find them. And then you find them, and then it's like, oh, that thing's gonna kill me. This is great. And yeah. So Frigibax is cute. It actually, trying to think. I think this is the best ranked ice Pokemon here, unless I'm forgetting something off the top of my head. So yeah, Pawmi. So this is the start of that evolution line, and I like Pawmi the most because it's the littlest and the cutest, but also it can't really do the paw thing very well, but it can generate some electricity with it. So what it does, it also has electrical sacs on its cheeks, like Pikachu, right? But it's much worse at it. The sacs don't hold much charge, and they also don't discharge well. So what it does is it rubs its face with its paws to build up charge in both to then release. And I think that is just the cutest thing. And Pawmi is very cute. So Tarantula, I generally hate bug Pokemon, but like, and I hate spiders the most. I'm aware arachnids are not bugs. Don't get technical on me. But the idea that its whole body is just a ball of like yarn or string or whatever that is really cute. And it's oh man, this might be one of the cutest bug Pokemon they've made. It's up there with like Joltik, which is just so cute. So Wattrel. Wattrel originally would not have ranked this highly for me, but in the new show in Pokemon Horizons, one of the main characters, Roy, he gets a Wattrel, and his Wattrel is so cute and sassy. Oh, it's sassy. So the idea with Wattrel is that they are marine bird Pokemon. They build up electrical charge in their wings by flying over and then through water. So that's actually really interesting for an electrical Pokemon. And they do diving, and they're actually really cute in the show. And Royce does this big stance. Again, so sassy. So that show really jumped Wattrel up at least 10 spots. So Floragato, this is the first part of a starter evolution line on here. You'll see, I really like Sprigatito. I really like Meowscarada. But Floragato is like not a cute little cat and also not a cool, fun magician. It's just kind of bad at doing both things that make those other two good. And I don't know, it's like an awkward middle stage that just isn't that compelling to me in anything. So it's just kind of down here. Iron Hands. So this is another future Pokemon. This is obviously just Hariyama. But I actually like Iron Hands. It gets a boost. The boost comes from in the game, in the trading card. No, sorry, not the trading card game. In the video game, there are one of the big things you can do regionally that's unique to this game is Terra raids, and basically they're big boss Pokemon that 4 people fight at the same time. And the Hariyama, no, sorry. See, this is my point. It's unoriginal. It's bad. I just called it Hariyama, even though it's not. So Iron Hands is one of my go-tos for doing these raids. He can use Belly Drum to spike his attack value, but his base attack is, I can't speak to after the DLC is added, I'm not sure, but I believe in the base game, his base attack is the highest base attack value in the whole game. So if you just match it up against something that its electric attacks are super effective against, it just uses Electric Punch and just one-shots most things. It's crazy strong and really fun for that, and is how I've been able to progress certain other things and clear the really high difficulty raids without just banging my head against a wall. And so I like Iron Hands for saving me from that. Quaxwell. This is the metal evolution for Quaxley, and similarly to Florigato, I have the same complaints of it's not a cute little duck, it's not a crazy dancer, but it does do a little bit better at bridging the gap. So Quaxwell and stuff, the whole line is all of the starters are about a different art, a different performance art, which is a fun thing about the world. So Meowscarada is a magician Pokemon. This line is about dancing, and then the other one that I'll get to is about singing. And so Quaxwell, you do see some of the movements and the character design, like the exaggerated wings, hands. There's some dancing. There's a little bit of samba stuff, but it's not that much. I wish it did a little more. All right, Slitherwing. This is the first ancient Pokemon on the rankings. So I've talked about the iron blah blah blahs, and now there's the ancient Pokemon. Thankfully, the naming scheme sucks way less for ancient Pokemon. It's still 2 words that are just words, which is kind of annoying, but some of them, as you'll see, are very funny for that. So this one actually is, sometimes they riff off the same Pokemon. So we have Slitherwing, and then we have, I think it's Larvesta. By blanking, I want to say that's right. And then there is Iron Moth, and that's all kind of the same thing. So it's a little better. It looks like, again, it's just kind of that Pokemon again. It's still unoriginal. I wish they had done something different, but I'm not going to keep harping on it here. So Chi-Yu, this is a legendary Pokemon. There are 4 legendary Pokemon you find in the world by pulling up these stakes. Scarlet and Violet is an open world game, and you just can explore and find stuff. One of them are these glowing stakes in the ground, and there's a whole ton of them. And they have each region of like sub-region of the region. Each part of Paldea, there we go, has different colors associated with their stakes. And those stakes are actually binding these ancient legendary Pokemon in these like caves. And so Chi-Yu is one of them. It's a goldfish. Like, that's why it's ranked the worst out of the 4. I do appreciate that it's a fire goldfish. That's really cool. And also that the idea that a goldfish is super powerful is very funny. But and I do like the color palette. It's a pretty goldfish. Don't get me wrong, but it is a goldfish. So Mastiff, I'm going to talk about what this evolves into a whole lot. But Mastiff is cute and funny and goofy. I love the hair. I love the enormous mouth. It's just crazy big mouth. This art doesn't even do it justice how big the mouth is for its body. But yeah, Mastiff is goofy and fun. Espathra. This is a psychic ostrich, which is a fun sentence. But really, the thing about Espathra is the haircut to me. I love the color palette. I love the haircut. This is a Pokemon that's an ostrich with bangs, and that is hilarious. It's an okay Pokemon outside of that. It's actually pretty good, but there are other things that kind of fill its role and do its things that I prefer. So Espathra is actually not bad at all, but mostly it's here for the hair. Iron Bundle. So this is very clearly, this is a Delibird, although I think that might be a bomb. I'm not certain. The reason the Iron Bundle ranks higher than, for example, Iron Thorns is, as you'll find out in the not too distant future when I cover Gold and Silver, I really like Delibird. Oh man, I love Delibird. But this is, so it's just fun to be like, hey, it's a Delibird. Whoa, it's not. That was kind of fun for me. So there's Iron Bundle. Dolliv. I love food Pokemon. I think it's great every time we get a new food Pokemon. One of the nice things about this generation is it gave us new food Pokemon so that we have enough that you could build a full team of 6 food Pokemon with no overlap. And that is spectacular. This one is based on olives. You can kind of see in the corner there, you see Smoliv, that's what evolves from. This one actually does look like an animal, or well, I guess it looks more like a person animal, but there's more to it than just being an olive. So Dolive is nice. I like Dolive. I like the other parts of the evolution line more, and we'll get to those. So Kilowattrel. Wattrel has a big blow up. Now it's not just a little bird, now it's a big bird, and it does more Pokemon things. It generates electricity more than just from its wings. Obviously you can see here there's a lot of electricity going on inside that birdie. I like the name. The idea of going from watts to kilowatts is very fun. This is, as far as bird Pokemon go, a pretty good bird. Wiglet. So like Toedscool, this is a riff on Diglett, which if you watched my red and blue video ranking those Pokemon, you'll know that I do really like Diglett. I do really like Dugtrio. It's still lazy, don't get me wrong, but just watching them pop in and out of the ground is very funny to me. And I like the idea that it's more thematic to the setting, to the coastal parts of the region. And yeah, it's cute. It's a little much. It's a little much, but it's there. Shroodle. I don't have any thoughts about Shroodle as a Pokemon. I do have thoughts about Shroodle as a goofy little guy, and oh man, it's a goofy little guy, and that's really the only reason it's ranked here at all. Capsicum. So this one is just a grass Pokemon. I really like, as you'll see, what it evolves into, but Capsicum is kind of fun. I like peppers. I like, so like people say peppers, and I think a lot of times we always think spicy, and that tracks with what's gonna happen here. But just capsicum, green bell peppers, I like. And so this is another food Pokemon, although less obvious in some ways than like Dolive. But yeah, this is fun. I like it. No arms is a nice touch. I like the no arms. So Wugtrio is more interesting, is a twist on a pre-existing Pokemon than Wiglet was. Diglett just comes out of the ground. Dugtrio is just 3 Dugtrios coming out of the ground. Wiglet comes out of the ground. Wugtrio comes out of a rock. So this is like way more like believable that, hey, this is a singular Pokemon instead of 3 Pokemon in a trench coat. So because they always have that rock. So I do appreciate that. It fixed one of the weirdest things about Dugtrio, which admittedly is an endearing thing I think about Dugtrio. But yeah, Wugtrio's all right. Dunsparce is dumb. I like it because it's dumb. They took Dunsparce, they added a middle segment, and that's it. That is it. Dunsparce. That's all they did. So evolution for Dunsparce was not on my bingo card for Scarlet and Violet when it was coming out, but I'm glad it's here. Tatsugiri. This is a little fish that is not food, but you could argue is food. It riffs on sashimi, on sushi. So I don't know if that's actually a bed of rice, whatever. I'm not sure what it's on in this art, but it's meant to look like it's on a bed of rice. And so it's really funny. There's another Pokemon this interacts with in a very hilarious and cool way, and I will talk about that when I get there. Normally it's not on a bed of anything, by the way. That's just this art, but you can see the white underbelly that is meant to be like imitating like a bed of rice, like sushi. Squawkabilly. So I didn't know that I was gonna want the fawns as a bird. This is a Pokemon that belongs in Happy Days. It belongs in West Side Story. It belongs in, oh man, now I can't think of the other musical that I was going to reference, but whatever. It is full of character, full of sass, as a parrot Pokemon should be, and Squawkabilly is a great name. All right, Charcadet. This is an interesting Pokemon that actually does have a difference depending on which version of the game you're playing. So it evolves differently. It uses an item to evolve. So you get one item in Scarlet, you get the other item in Violet. So it's interesting to have that branching thing. And I love the little Fire Knight dude, and he's feisty and cute. And yeah, Charcadet is solid. Fluttermane. So this is just Misdreavus as an ancient Misdreavus. There's some things about Fluttermane that I should really like. I should really like Fluttermane. It's tanking in its ranking, because when I decided to try getting into competitive a little bit with this game, which I talked about that experience a bit more in the main video, Fluttermane basically just told me to stop. If a team had Fluttermane, it meant I was going to lose, and it's insane. And maybe they've done stuff with it. I haven't looked. Maybe the DLC stuff has helped a lot, but I feel like Fluttermane was so ubiquitous and so powerful. Like, for the most part, every team, it seemed like, had a Fluttermane, that maybe it shouldn't have been allowed, perhaps. So that left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth for Fluttermane, which is otherwise, I think, design and everything else, one of the better Paradox Pokemon. Smoliv. So here we are, little olive Pokemon, and guess what? It's a little olive. That's it. It's an olive with a face and two little nubs for legs, and it's like, it's so overwhelmed by its world, it doesn't know what to do, and Smoliv is so cute. All right, food Pokemon, Smoliv. I love olives. I eat a lot of olives. There's a chance that maybe I would accidentally eat a Smoliv. Moving on. Chien-Pao. This is another one of those legendary Pokemon like Chi-Yu. This one is a snow leopard. I forgot about this when I said that Frigibax was maybe the best ice Pokemon, because I didn't think about the legendary Pokemon in that context. So yeah, I love the big icicle saber-toothed tiger fangs. It's actually this art, it does exaggerate it a little bit, but it is really long. It's a very long kitty. Long cat. So yeah, big stretch and all of that. It's a really good design. This is a good ice Pokemon, which we don't get a lot of good ice Pokemon, I feel like. So good on Chien-Pao. Great Tusk. This is the ancient version for Donphan. Remember, a lot of them are going to have ancient, present, and future. And it's a little better. I do like the different color palette, the red highlights. I like how much it emphasizes the tusks. It's hard to see in this art, but it actually wraps up and around. It's a big curl. So it's actually a very defining thing, which you'll notice most of the ancient Pokemon are named over some defining characteristic of just, look at them, that's a great tusk, right? Like, so that naming scheme is kind of fun in how dumb it is, whereas the constant irons in future Pokemon I hate. Rabsca. So this is what Rellor evolves into, and the thing I really want to talk about with it is how it evolves. You can kind of see here, the ball has upgraded a lot. It grew to a much bigger size. It does a lot. It uses the ball for various attacks. And so the reason it grew is that the way it evolves, in these games, you can have a Pokemon run alongside you outside of its Pokeball. And so it rolls as it runs. It rolls the ball. And the idea thematically is that the ball is picking up stuff on the ground and growing and growing and growing. And if you run a certain distance with this Pokemon is your companion Pokemon or partner Pokemon or whatever they call it, the outside the ball Pokemon, then it will evolve. It's just based on the distance. And that is great. Spidops. So again, I really hate spiders, but the idea, for the record, if I saw this in real life, I think I would die immediately. It wouldn't kill me. I would just have a heart attack and die. But the idea of it doing all of this crazy web spinning with all of its arms, as opposed to like spitting stuff out of its butt, is actually really cool. I think it's a great spider Pokemon design. It still has kind of that yarn core you can kind of see in the background that it would have kept from Tarantula. It's pretty neat. So Quaquaval. This is the final evolution for Quaxley, and I think that it's the worst one of the 3 for the starters in this generation, but that's not to say it's bad. I think 53 is pretty respectable, and we're at the point where we're pretty firmly in Pokemon that, hey, I like this Pokemon. So Quaquaval is it's all about dancing. It does a whole bunch of samba. It does lots of dances. It has attacks that care about dancing, animations that care about dancing, lots of art dancing. It's a very emotive Pokemon with a lot of strong feelings that it has to share via dance. Graphaii. So Shroodle evolves into this. I'm not really sure actually what's going on with this dude. It's colorful, it's cool. That's about all I got. But it's so colorful and so cool that it ranks kinda like highly. Like we're basically in the top half now. Cloth. This is a crab Pokemon, but with a goofy mouth, kind of a goofy body, and it'll just put its crab arms in the air and its body in the air and like waving around like it just doesn't care. And there's a story version of Cloth. They're called Titan Pokemon. They protect these ancient herbs that matter to the story. And so there's a giant Cloth, and Cloth gets a little boost for the giant Cloth because I actually quite like that one. Tinkatink. This is a cute little fairy Pokemon with a hammer, and it looks so overwhelmed all the time. This is the first part of the evolution line, and it's like it doesn't know what to do, but it knows it wants to hit stuff. Bombardier. This has another Titan Pokemon, but it's also just regular as well. So this is another big bird. I really like this bird. You'll notice that it looks like it's got like an apron going on, but this is a stork, and so when it flies, it picks up the apron and then carries the end in its mouth. So it's like it's carrying like a little swaddle, like a not quite a hammock, but yeah. And so the Titan version of this is basically just, again, the same thing, but really big. So it flies around with that, and it's really cool to look at. I like when it's flying. When it's just standing there, it's fine, but I like it flying a lot. Oinkalone. So this is a pig with a scent-based ability, and you might think, wow, that scent's it's gotta be a bad thing, like stunky, right? No, perfume, brilliant, wonderful, just a great fragrance. There's 2 different appearances for Oinkalone. There's a male appearance, female appearance, and this is the female appearance, I think, if I remember right. And yeah, it's just like it smells good and it knows it, and like it's very sure of itself. Oinkalone was on my first team to become Pokemon champion with this game. I don't remember if in the like final legs of the story if Oinkalone was still on the team or not. It may have been, but I got a lot of use out of my Oinkalone. Iron Valiant. This is one of the better Iron Pokemon. This is just Galad, but now it has a double-sided like saber sword, and it's like also got more of like night skirt stuff going on, which I think it's very cool. This is definitely one of the best modifications of an existing Pokemon they did in the game. It's still lazy. It doesn't get around that. The name still sucks. It doesn't get around that. But all things considered, it's pretty good. Tandemaus. I have some thoughts about Tandemaus. This is 2 Pokemon, but it's 1 Pokemon. They're a family unit. They're no family yet, but we'll get there. But mostly, I really like how emotive they are. Like, look at the one on the right with the enormous open mouth. It's just goofy and funny, and they're really cute how they walk around. They like hold hands, and like they're just really in love with each other, man. And I hope everyone can find something that Tandemaus has, you know? All right, Armor Rouge. This is the Scarlet evolution for Charcadet, and You know, it's ready for combat now. It is no longer a cadet. It is gonna go to town. It is yeah, big armor, cool fire, very sweet. I love the helmet. Knackley. All right, we get to do some chemistry here. So the chemical compound, the like each element on the periodic table of elements has a 2-letter. Well, actually, it's not always 2 letters, but it has frequently a 2-letter abbreviation. So salt is sodium chloride. Sodium is Na. Chloride, chloride is Cl. So sodium chloride is salt. And this Pokemon is just salt. Look at it. It is a block of salt in a rock. That is the Pokemon. See that trail behind it in the art? It moves by just sliding. It just... It's very funny. It doesn't even like really hop. It just tries its best with no limbs, and it's just a block of salt with eyes. And that is hilarious to me. And the name just sells it even more. Ceruledge, so just a smidge better to me than Armor Rouge. This is the other evolution for Charcadet. I love the shadowy colors. Obviously, this is from Violet. I love the shadowy colors. I love the arm blades. This guy's punching. This guy's cutting. I think cutting's a little cooler. Also, the armor I think is just a little cooler. The helmet is super sweet. Varoom. So. This is, you might be like, that's an engine head on a rock, and you're like, yeah, it is. So that is an engine. It is a Pokemon. it's spitting out exhaust. It's an engine. That's it. I think that this Pokemon is one of the funniest Pokemon they've ever made. I love Varoom, but it gets better, so just hold on. All right, Knackle-Stack. This is what Knackley evolves into. It kind of has legs now. It's a little Minecrafty looking, which I kind of like. So yeah, now it can very slowly move on its salt block legs. It's a stack of salt. Knackle-Stack. Sodium chloride stack. That's it. It's great. I love these Pokemon. All right, Arboliva. This is one. I love the olive branch design. It has actually a lot of like. Don't get me wrong. It's actually it'll mess you up. It hits hard, but it also does have like lots of disabling moves. Paralyzing, sleep, things like that. That kind of go with the extend an olive branch, symbol of peace sort of thing. It matters a lot to the TV show Pokemon Horizons. Arboliva is pretty cool. I really like, again, I cannot stress how much I love food Pokemon. So I think that it's really great how we go from Smoliv all the way to this whole olive branch thing. Screamtail. This is an ancient Jigglypuff. I'm not gonna lie, this is here for the name. It's just running around, just and it's so funny. I love Screamtail. You'll notice the top end here I do really like. There's a lot of stuff I'm meh about, but the stuff in this generation that I like, oh man, I like it. All right, Koraidon. This is the cover Pokemon for Pokemon Scarlet. It's a legendary Pokemon. You actually, I talk about this in the main video. I'm not going to rehash most of that here. I like Koraidon. I just kind of like Miraidon more. Obviously, I haven't ranked that yet. I think that the body part looking like a wheel is less interesting when it doesn't get to behave like a wheel. I get what they're going for with the ancient design. I get the idea that, hey, it's still running on legs. To me, the animations don't seem quite as right. But it's still very cool, and I do like it. I just like the other one a lot more. Bramblin. It is a ghost grass Pokemon that is a tumbleweed. Like, Do I need to say more? Tumbleweed Pokemon Ghost. It's dead grass. That's awesome. Sandy Shocks. This is ancient Magneton. I really like it. It's very, they actually managed to do some cool stuff to make it very different looking. Yes, you can see the Magneton, but like having all of those other magnets is a really cool design. I think it works really well. Sandy Shocks is very cool. Revavroom. So actually, this picture is just a screenshot from the game. I talked about this a bit in the main video, and of course, if you've seen these, if you've played these games, you know what's going on here. But if you haven't, just real quick, the whole vehicle is not the Revavroom. It's just the giant engine head in the middle. The Team Star, the antagonist team in the game, they modified some cars, essentially, some trucks, to attach Revavrooms to them so that they can drive them as vehicles. And that alone is so cool that Revavroom is pretty high ranking for me. Tinkatuff. So Tinkatink now has a much better hammer and has found some confidence. It's a little more sure of itself. It's smashing stuff. It knows what it's about. It knows what it's like, and it's smashing stuff. Wo-Chien. This is one more of the legendary Pokemon involving the stakes. I love that it's like a leafy poison slug. The design is very cool. What it kind of reminds me of, especially like on the back end of it a little bit, is in Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. This feels like it could be a spirit there that goes to the spa to get cleaned off and to refresh it's very much reminiscent of that, and I love that movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. I love Spirited Away, and I look at this and I go, this belongs there. Farigiraffe. So finally, Girafrig got an evolution, which again was not on my bingo card for Scarlet and Violet, and what an evolution it is. I love that the little ball mouth head thing from the tail now has moved all the way up to the head of the giraffe. Giraffes are really cool. They're my wife's favorite animal. Psychic Giraffe is an even cooler idea. This is a great evolution, and I'm very happy it exists. Cyclizar. So this is the modern Pokemon that the cover Pokemon are attached to. So you have Koraidon in the past, you have Cyclizar in the present, and you have Miraidon in the future. People ride them around like little motorcycles, but it also can do some running. And so Cyclizar is really fun. I think it showcases a lot of what this game is about tonally, and it's really cool. It's a cool lizard. I like it a lot. Bellybolt. This is what Tadbulb evolves into, and he just turns into a big guy with a big belly, and it lights up, and it's got a big dumb face and dumb eyes and dumb everything. And oh man, I really like Bellybolt. We have they made like little back to school kits for Pokemon. You get a couple of packs of Pokemon cards, and you get like an eraser, and like a big eraser in the shape of Pokemon, and one of them they made was Bellybolt, and oh man, it's been an experience erasing with that dude. Bellybolt is very funny. Miraidon, hey, we're here. This is the Violet cover Pokemon, obviously. This is its like fighting stance. It differs a lot regarding its mobility mode. So it actually is just a motorcycle, and that's cool. I do wish, and I really hope that eventually when we get to Miraidon in Pokemon Horizons, if they don't put in Akira style like reference of like the sliding motorcycle, I will be very annoyed. They need to do that. I need it in my life. But Miraidon is very cool. Man, he loves his sandwiches. Again, I played Violet first. So I picked Violet. My wife picked Scarlet. So I played Violet first, and I really grew attached to Miraidon. I like Miraidon a lot. Mousehold. So Tandemaus has kids, which that's how it evolves. And I try not to think about this a little too much. It's not like Pokemon hatching eggs. They're there. But they are a happy family doing happy family stuff, and they're still very emotive with their big mouths and their big ears and their big paws and their little bodies, and they're really cute. It's one of the most unique designs in the whole franchise. Once I got over the weirdness of it, I started to really embrace this evolution line. Mousehold is very fun, very funny, very cute. I like them a lot. Finizen, somehow, and I can't believe it took this long. It took us almost 1,000 Pokemon. We're over 1,000 now with DLC, but the base game put us just under 1,000. It took us almost 1,000 Pokemon to make a dolphin. How does it take 1,000 Pokemon to make a dolphin? So dolphins are awesome. They're one of my favorite animals. I rag on Pokemon this is just that animal without even any twist. This is kind of just that animal without any twist. There's a little ring at the base of its tail, but other than that, it is literally just a dolphin, which normally is a downside, but dolphins are so great, it's an upside. Love Finizen. And the idea that, like, it's a citizen, he's doing his part. He's, like, probably voted or whatever. All right, Roaring Moon. This is another past Pokemon. This one I really like the design. This was some fan art. I don't think this was part of a card. I love moons. I love stuff with the night sky. I love stars. I love nighttime like vibes in art and everything. It's great. The design very much reminds me of Marvel's Moon Knight, which I love Moon Knight. So Roaring Moon is super cool. Skeledirge. This is the final evolution of the fire starter. Skeledirge is awesome. He has tried his hardest, but I think it's the worst part of that evolution line. And but it is great that it's singing. When it evolves into Skeledirge, it learns a new move called Torch Song. It's just singing fire at people, and I do like my Skeledirge quite a lot. This is the evolution line I picked in my first playthrough, and Skeledirge has done a lot of work for me. Also, I love Ghost Pokemon. This is the first starter where Ghost is my favorite type. This is the first starter in the whole franchise that evolves into one of the typings being Ghost. So for me, that was a no-brainer. That was one of the main reasons I picked this evolution line when I learned that it's Fire Ghost at the end. I was like, well, I have to pick that. And the Ghost stuff actually is, I think, cooler than the Fire stuff. Ting Lu. So this is one of this is the last legendary Pokemon from the stakes, and this is some fan art as well. I couldn't find some good card art that I wanted to use. There was some, but it didn't, like, the perspective on the art doesn't showcase the part I really like about Ting Lu well. By the way, you can see in the background, that is the gates, the doors, whatever you want to call them, that the stakes in the ground are holding together. There's all these seals, and as you remove them, the chains fall off. But Ting Lu is a moose. This is, I think, the first moose Pokemon we have gotten, which, similarly to dolphins, is surprising to me that it took this long. I love the bowl, the ancient relic bowl on top of its head being giant moose antlers. I think it's so great. The design is like, clearly that's a moose, but in such a creative and unique way. I really like Ting Lu. It's awesome. Moose are very cool. If you ever see a moose in real life, maybe run. if you've never seen one in real life, I promise you, it's a lot bigger than you expect. Ting-Lu is a very large Pokemon, and that might be life-sized for a moose. I'm not sure. They're very big. All right, Sprigatito. So Sprigatito, this is the grass starter. Very cute little cat. In the TV show, they really ham up the cat stuff. It's great. So this is kind of just like it's not really just being an actual Pokemon, or an actual animal, excuse me, actual Pokemon. Can you imagine? So there's a little bit to it, obviously, but definitely the Pokemon elements are very stylized. They're very exaggerated. Just the way the paws are also are very cute and not lifelike. There's a lot of great things about Sprigatito. The main character, Liko, has a lot going for her, and Sprigatito is her partner Pokemon, and the main character of the TV show. And I really like Sprigatito a whole lot. Very cute. Greavard. This is a dead dog, which normally would be something that would make me very sad if it wasn't so happy all the time. And also, I love ghost Pokemon. So what Greavard does that is so cute and so fun is when half the time when you're running around in the world and you get to where a Greavard is, you find them mostly in the snow town. And so because the gym leader there, she uses ghost Pokemon. She's pretty cool. But you just see the little candle sticking out of the ground, and then when you run closer, they unburrow from the snow and start running around, and it's really cute. I love the little candle. I love Litwick. Litwick is one of my favorite Pokemon, and so, which I don't, I love Litwick. So this is kind of evocative of that, but it's also a dog, and oh man, I love dogs. Greavard is terrific. Big dumb tongue that's way bigger than it's too big for its already enormous mouth. Can't see, its eyes are covered. There's a lot of reasons to love Greavard. Brute Bonnet. So this is the ancient version of Among Us, which I love. Fungus and Among Us. I love them a whole lot. I do like the twist on this. It's much more, it's a brute, right? Like it's in the name. Among Us is like, wow, that's a cute little mushroom. That's a cute big mushroom. This guy's a monster, and also I think it's wearing pants. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it's wearing pants, which is funny for a mushroom. But also, I do love the hat is great. It's almost like Savage Samurai kind of vibes. It's very cool. I love Among Us. I love the Pokeball mushroom designs, and this is a great take on that. Quaxley. This is the water starter, cute little duck. Very like the animation when you're deciding which Pokemon to pick. He's like flipping his hair back in the water, and he's very like prim and proper, and but also kind of pompous and very sassy. And I like Quaxley for all of those things. It's another key supporting character's partner Pokemon in the TV show, and that character is really cool, and their Quaxley is very cool. Quaxley is a stellar. All of the starters in this generation are stellar. Starters in most generations, for the record, are stellar. I mean, they really nail the starters. They put a lot of thought into them, obviously, and Quaxley is a very good one. Crocolore, this is the middle evolution for the fire starter. So very much about food, very food driven, this guy. And this art shows that. But mostly I want to talk about his sombrero. He's got a fire sombrero on top of his head, and it's like a mariachi alligator, well, like a crocodile, I guess. The mariachi crocodile that's just very food driven and goofy, and it shoots fire. And that description alone is terrific. Houndstone. So Grievard evolves into Houndstone. We get a little more skeletal structure. Some art and some things show a little more than others, but most importantly, now there's a tombstone on top of his head, and they're actually quite large. It's a big dog, and so those tombstones really stick out in the fields when you're just running around and you see them, and you're like, hey, there's a Houndstone down there. And I really like this idea of these dog Pokemon that are ghost dogs just sticking around, kind of like Zero in Nightmare Before Christmas, but they're just doing their ghost dog thing. And I don't want to know how they became ghost dogs. If you know, don't tell me. But yeah, I like them a lot. Bramblegast. So this is what Bramblin evolves into. It's bigger. It's more tumbleweed. And like for the most part, it's kind of the same Pokemon, but bigger and more. But like Relor evolving into Rabsca, this evolves by just running around and having it roll around and get bigger. And that idea is even better for a tumbleweed. It's one of the greatest decisions they made in the whole game was some of the alternate ways that Pokemon evolve. This generation has the most creative ways for Pokemon to evolve outside of the idea of spinning in circles to evolve Milcery into Alchemy. Outside of that, these are the most creative things they've ever done for evolving Pokemon, and it's one of the greatest strengths about the game. I do talk about that in the main video, but I don't dive into a lot of the specifics because I wanted to save it for these. The rolling around and running around with Pokemon to evolve them is terrific, and I love it. And also, this is a ghost Pokemon, which I love ghost Pokemon, and it's so cool. And also, it has a more clearly defined face. Like, you can see the mouth and the nose and stuff. Alright, Meowscarada. This is the final evolution of the Grass Starter. It is a magician. It's doing cool performance art, magic stuff. I love wizards. I love spellcasters. I love things like that in fantasy. So magician's not necessarily that, but it's adjacent. Magic is cool. There's a lot of fun stuff with magic, and this is a very cool Pokemon doing a lot of cool, fun stuff. And I love the theming on it. Lechonk! I love Lechonk! This is one of the first Pokemon when they announced Scarlet and Violet. This is one of the first Pokemon they showed off, which it makes sense. It's one of the first Pokemon you see. It's in the starting zone. But like just very round pig body with a big snout and like, I cannot express how cute Lechonk is. It's so cute. I love Lechonk. Similarly to the Belly Bolt Eraser, we got Lechonk erasers, and oh man, we used that Lechonk's entire body. It should be a crime what we did to Lechonk. Lost its legs, lost its nose, eventually lost its whole face. Now it's kind of just its back and a little bit of its butt in one ear. And I feel for that Lechonk. I love Lechonk. And like, to show that Lechonk is number 15, and that's how much I love Lechonk, the top end for me of this generation is a lot of the best Pokemon ever made. Huge fan of a lot of the top end of stuff here. Scovillain. So this is what Capsicum evolves into. You can see the capsicum side of Scovillain is the grass side, but then there's a hot pepper, like a chili pepper or habanero. I think it's meant to be a habanero pepper, maybe. So like a habanero pepper on the other side. So it's got like that Doduo thing where they're fighting and they're arguing, and but they're evil, Scovillain. And so and also Scoville, like the Scoville scale. Great name, great theming. This is on my competitive team. It's a backup fire attacker. The competitive team is and I talked about this in the main video, but to just touch on it a little bit, and I'll talk about it more because there's other Pokemon on the competitive team coming up. The competitive team is a Sunny Day fire team that builds off of a particular interaction that I'll get to when I get to that Pokemon. But So this is a Pokemon that can be a backup fire attacker for Sunny Day, but also it gets to use, yeah, what's it called? Solar Beam. It gets to use Solar Beam without having to charge up in Sunny Day. So that's really cool. It is I want to say it's the first ever grass fire Pokemon, but that might not be right. I might be forgetting something off the top of my head. Scovillain is very fun, very cool. I love spicy food. I love food Pokemon. Scovillain's a big win for me. Garganacl. So gargantuan salt. That's all this is. Now it has proper legs. I love the big shoulder pauldrons. I love the shoulder pauldrons. If you're not familiar with pauldrons, because like that's not a word that's used often, they're giant shoulder armor and like medieval armor stuff. Normally they're not that big, but I love when pauldrons are big. I think that Blizzard instilled that in me. They love giant shoulder pauldrons. I love giant shoulder pauldrons. King Gambit. So this is a very cool new evolution. Basically, you evolve Bisharp into King Gambit, and this is one of the coolest ways that you evolve a Pokemon. So one, it needs to be holding, I forget the item. Is it King's Rock? Maybe there's an item that's supposed to. Yeah, I think it's King's Rock. So it needs to be holding that. And then it needs to defeat, I forget the number, but a whole bunch of other Bisharp. The idea is there can only be one. It's trial through combat. It is victorious. It is the winner. And after you've beaten a certain number of them with a Bisharp, it'll evolve into King Gambit, which is such a very cool way of doing that. And it has a neat ability about its ability is it gets stronger for each friendly Pokemon in its party that's been knocked out. So you send out King Gambit, and like if it's your last Pokemon out, this is the last line of defense. This is the king, and it just will wreck people. It'll hit so hard. It's awesome. Clodsire. So there's Paldean Wooper. I didn't cover the Paldean variants in this video. There's only two. I wasn't gonna worry about it. There's Paldean Wooper. There's Paldean Tauros. And they're fine. They're okay. But Clodsire is a new evolution that evolves from Paldean Wooper, and it's oh man. So this is a groundwater Pokemon that also, so it gets to be immune from electric attacks because it's ground, but also it has an ability where it absorbs water. It's like mud, and it absorbs water attacks so that it heals them. And also, just look at him. He's just big, dumb, goofy guy. I am a huge fan of Clodsire and his big, dumb face and his big, dumb body. And it's very good competitively too, which adds some bonus points. But it's mostly here for being big and being dumb. Oh man. Fido. All right. Food Pokemon. Love food Pokemon. This is a dog named like a stereotypical dog name, but made of dough. Oh man. There's so many reasons to love Fido. I love little buns. I love its body. I'm gonna talk about this more when I get to its evolution. I'm not gonna spend a whole ton of time on Fido. Just know Fido is great, and I already love Fido, even if its evolution didn't exist. Goldengo. I'm going to talk about Goldengo actually when I talk about the thing that evolves from it. Just know that it is actually a competitively, at least, again, base game, maybe DLC changed it, but it is a competitively very viable Pokemon that does some fun stuff. It reminds me in design of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch dude, you know, here I come, I am Cinnamon. I should probably not be doing that. I'm too white for that. But yeah, Goldengo. I'm going to talk about why I like Goldengo though, more in a bit. Dondozo. So Dondozo is a whale. Think like Monstro in Pinocchio. I say that because, well, I guess it's closer to the whale in Finding Nemo. It eats Tatsugiri, but it doesn't eat them. That's a Tatsugiri in its mouth. Dondozo is the whale. Tatsugiri is just there. This isn't like a Slowbro type thing. They are two totally separate Pokemon. They don't evolve into one another. They don't do any of that. But if you're doing a 2v2 Pokemon battle, you can have Tatsugiri jump into Dondozo, and basically Tatsugiri is the boss, and then Dondozo is its lackey. And then Tatsugiri, it becomes a singular Pokemon on the field. You only have one Pokemon, the Dondozo. Or maybe it's the Tatsugiri. I forget which one it technically says you're controlling. Sorry. But the idea is you don't send out like a new Pokemon. You just have one, your opponent has two. But it becomes crazy powerful. All of its stats get really boosted, and it does a whole bunch of cool stuff with that. The idea is that the Tatsugiri is like a military commander, like telling this Dondozo what to do in battle. And it's very fun. One of the most unique things in the whole franchise regarding combat. I'm a huge fan of that. I think 2v2 is the best way to play the game. I think it's the best combat, and having a cool thing that is so uniquely designed for that is massive for me. Tinkaton. This is the final evolution of Tinkatink, and now the hammer is enormous. If you've played League of Legends, this is going to feel like Poppy, which is a very fun character that I like in League of Legends. And so Tinkaton is just so great. This tiny little thing wielding this huge hammer, and it's just going to destroy you. I love Tinkaton. It's so awesome. Gimme Ghoul. So this is the thing that evolves into Golden Ghoul. Or Golden Go, excuse me. So Gimme Ghoul has two forms. The actual Pokemon itself is just the little bug looking dude there. This is a ghost Pokemon though. So Gimme Ghoul has two forms, the little bug one, or and you'll find the little bug guys just around the world. They might be sitting on a sign, they might be sitting under a bridge, they might be sitting on a fence. They're just around, and you find them, and you can go up and you press A almost like you're gonna talk to them, and then they go away, and you get a couple of coins. You can also find them and battle them, and this is how you catch them. They're in the chest form, which is like a mimic in D&D, which is super great. I love that design. That design is amazing. Ghost mimic Pokemon with a chest full of coins. So if you beat them or catch them, you do also get a lot more coins, more than just a couple. And you need these coins. They're not money. It's an item in your key items inventory. And so, or actually it's in the treasure, I think. So you can sell them, but you should not, because you need 999 of them. So then that way you can evolve Gimme Ghoul into Golden Go. I cut out a second here. So if you're like, why was there a jump? It's because I was trying to tab to Golden Go, and I accidentally showed you the whole rest of the list. So it's gonna be a weird cut. Sorry. So Golden Go. Where were we? we were at Gimme Ghoul evolves into Golden Go with 999 coins. So that's why Golden Go is made up of pure gold, and its like defining attack is called Make It Rain, because it's made of money, and so it's a steel attack that's very heavy hitting, and just Golden Go is awesome. Gimme Ghoul is even cooler, mostly because I like the collection element. I love the Mimic. D&D Mimic as a Pokemon is such a great idea that I can't believe it took this long for it to happen. Number 5, we're top 5 now, Mabostiff. So I'm going to talk about this more in the main video, but I do want to touch on it. One of the main supporting characters in the game is Arven, and his partner Pokemon is Mabostiff, and there's a whole storyline for Arven where you're helping him collect these big herbs, and because he's making sandwiches with them to feed to his Mabostiff, is a last-ditch effort to heal Mabostiff. His Mabostiff was critically injured. No amount of potions, no amount of Pokemon centers have been able to help his Mabostiff. It is dying. This storyline, when it's revealed, is done so well that I cried. This is the only time that a Pokemon game has made me cry. I love dogs. I love our dog. I'm gonna get into this in the main video. I don't need to rehash it again. But oh man. So I'm gonna cry right now. Mabostiff is a hero. Mabostiff is a good boy. There's obviously more than just Arvis Mabostiff, but this is a picture of Arvis Mabostiff. You can see it in his eyes. This is number 5. So there are 4 Pokemon that I like more than the only Pokemon that made me cry. Scarlet and Violet have a lot of great Pokemon. This game is tanked in my rankings by the Paradox Pokemon gimmick sucking and a couple of other things. Again, I go over it in the main video, but damn. All right, number 4, Palafin. This is very cool. So Palafin is the evolution of Finizen. This is one of the best battle gimmicks ever made. It starts out as just a weak little dolphin, but if you switch into Palafin I don't remember the timing now. It might be after one of your Pokemon get knocked out. No, it's just if you switch at all. Just that's when it would happen most. So if you switch into Palafin, so let's say you have an attack that does, it hits the enemy and then it switches out for something, and that's part of what the attack does. That combos really well with Palafin because it's a paladin, and so the idea is that just for one turn after it enters, it is in hero mode. It's called hero mode, and all of its stats are like crazy higher. So you get one crazy hero attack in with Palafin, and then the idea is you want to swap back out, and then you do this juggling, switching back and forth idea, and it's super fun. It's super cool. Actually, this is the picture here. The art is Palafin in hero mode, but like when it turns into hero mode, it gets buff and swole. It's like All Might. They designed All Might that's what this is. They designed All Might from My Hero Academia as a Pokemon, and it's a dolphin. And that's what Palafin is, and that is so cool. It's like that's why it ranks higher than the Pokemon that made me cry. Like, Palafin is a very awesome design. Number 3, Annihilape. So this is, Annihilape is an evolution for Primeape, which again, I did not expect any of these evolutions of existing Pokemon to be thrown in. I'm glad they do. So Annihilape, 1, this is a fighting ghost Pokemon, which is such an amazingly cool, very cool typing. But most importantly with Annihilape is, I've talked a lot about Pokemon having cool way that they evolve in this game. And so Annihilape has the coolest way, again, other than maybe Alchemy, the coolest way that you evolve anything. And that is that it gets so angry it dies. So there is a move blah, blah, blah. It's been a long video. I've talked a lot. I'm gonna take a drink of water. There is a move you use that is basically, it's a punch move that makes it angrier every time you use it. And in the battle, it increases its attack and stuff, and it's a pretty good move all in its own right. I forget the number, but if you use that attack X amount of times, a ton of times, then after that point, I believe it's when it levels up, but it might not be. I don't remember. I evolved my Annihilape a long time ago now, and I don't remember. I haven't needed to make another one. But it evolves because it gets so angry it dies. That is the funniest thing I think they have ever done in this game. I'm a huge proponent of us eventually, hopefully the next generation, getting more Eevee evolutions, And as funny as it is and as insensitive as it is, I still think that we should get a ghost Eevee. They could call it Dedion, they don't have to, but I would like to. A ghost Eevee that is evolved by using brick. and this is like right there. And yeah, Annihilate is super cool. Number 2. Before I get to number 2. In my Red and Blue video, I talked about with my favorite Pokemon in that game, that it was my favorite Pokemon in the whole franchise for 20 years. Over 20 years. Well over 20, like 25 years. Until Scarlet and Violet came out, and my new favorite Pokemon is in Scarlet and Violet. Across the whole franchise, my favorite Pokemon. And after I said that, and I started doing the rankings for this one, it occurred to me that maybe I had lied to you. Maybe I lied to myself. Maybe there are 2 Pokemon in here that I like more than what had been my favorite Pokemon for 25 years. I think there's 2. The first one, number 2 in Scarlet and Violet, is Fuecoco. This was my starter. It evolves into a ghost fire Pokemon, which is super great for a starter. He sings, but he's not good at it, but he loves doing it. I appreciate the confidence that Fuecoco instills in me and hopefully in everybody to do the arts, not because you're good at them, but because you enjoy them. There's a lot to learn from Fuecoco. If you watch the show, admittedly, I don't like the song that Roy sings. I like Fuecoco singing it. Roy's got to stop. It's annoying, but it's kind of catchy and fun. And I have a Fuecoco plush. I watched that show with the Fuecoco plush. Okay, and it's a fairly sizable plush. I'm gonna go with its life size. Fuecoco's not that huge, so it's not like it's massive, but I think it's life size. And just the idea that all Fuecoco is a mouth on a body, and like it's just gonna bite you. And oh man, there's the running, and I was a little unsure about picking Fuecoco. I thought maybe I'll pick Quaxley because I like the almost arrogance of Quaxley. But then I wound up seeing the animation of Fuecoco running and being like, the only thing on his mind is food. Food and singing. That's all Fuecoco's about. But the running animation, he's got these little stompy legs, just little stompers, and he's just stomp, 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 stomp. It's so cute. I could not get over it. And his big dumb smile, the entire time he's stomping while you're running, he's smiling, just biggest smile in the world, all mouth. I adore Fuecoco. I think that Fuecoco would be my favorite Pokemon ever, if not for the next one. This is the greatest Pokemon ever made, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Darkspun. This is a dog made of bread. I love food. I love food Pokemon. I love dogs. I love dog Pokemon. If you've been listening, if you've been paying attention, you should have seen this coming 20 Pokemon ago. Darkspun is amazing. It's made of bread. There's a lot of great art of Darkspun. So this is a card in the TCG. One, look at the floofy booty. You can't see, but it's a cinnamon roll for the tail. Braids on the ears, chest floof that is also buns. And also the name Darkspun, they just slightly changed Dachshund into this. That's what kind of dog it is, which I love those dogs. All right, there's a lot of great fan art for Darkspun. Bread dog. so there's a lot to love about Darkspun. It's cute. It's powerful. I like fairy Pokemon a lot as a typing. It is a fairy Pokemon. It hits really hard. It's fairly tanky, but it's especially good against fire types. It has there's every Pokemon has two abilities they can have. There's the regular ability and then a hidden ability that a small percentage of them have, and then there's stuff you can do to swap them. But the regular ability that the majority of Doxpins have, which is the better ability in my opinion, is called Well-Baked Body. We literally threw this dude in an oven and baked him. So the oh, man, sorry, I'm just so excited about talking about Doxpin. So Well-Baked Body, what it does is if it is hit by a fire attack, it instead does not take any damage. It's immune to fire attacks, and it sharply raises its defense. So you go up 2 stages in defense for every time you're hit by a fire attack. So with Doxpin on my competitive team, what I do is built around that ability. It's built around Doxpin. I built this team. This is the first game that I ever tried to get into competitive for the video games because of Doxpin. I love Doxpin so much. I was like, I am going to make it work. And I pretty much did. It's not like I'm not going to like actual tournaments. I'm not going to regionals. I'm not going to nationals with this and being like, yeah, no. But it's fun and it's good enough. So what it does is it is a sunny day team that uses Pokemon with I'm blanking on the name of the ability. The one that makes the weather start as sunny as opposed to having to use the ability sunny day. And so then it uses, I think it's Lava Plume, which is a fire attack that hits really hard. It hits every Pokemon on the field. So and this is a 2v2 build. So it hits both of the opponent's Pokemon, and then it sharply raises Doxpin's defense. But then, after I've set up with that, Doxpin has abilities to help survive while I do my setup. So it has Protect, it has Wish. So Protect will make it so I can just dodge an attack every other turn. Wish makes it so that it heals a whole bunch of health every other turn. But then it does have a fairy attack just because it's a fairy type, and I should have that somewhere on the team. It has Play Rough, which is fun. I like that the dog Pokemon gets that. But then it also has a fighting attack called Body Press, and this does more damage the higher the defense stat of the Pokemon. So I am spiking its defense, and then I hit really hard. And I actually changed it so that Doxpin's Terastallization goes to fighting Pokemon. So it's a fighting type if I want it to be, which actually dodges one of the fairy weaknesses. Fighting pairs well against Steel, so people are like, oh, I'm gonna take out this Doxpin, and then I Terastallize the fighting and it doesn't do anything really, and then I just bop them crazy hard because you get same type attack bonus, you get the Terastallization attack bonus, and my defense is spiked. Doxpin is hitting outrageously hard. I love Doxpin. I love this team. It was so fun to design. I built it all from the ground up. I know I'm not the first person to have this idea, but I didn't research things. I just looked up Pokemon and put the team together, and it's worked. It's a good boy. It's the best Pokemon ever made. Bread dog. Like, do you not understand? Bread dog. Thank you so much for sticking around through this whole massive ordeal. I really appreciate it when people do watch all of these rankings. Obviously, I do a lot of ranking on my channel. These ones are the most fun for me to make, but they're also some of the most work. I have to compile the list. I have to put it in order. Now I'm doing the slideshow thing. Originally, I was, except for up until Red and Blue, I had been basically doing a thing where I wrote a script, and then I did voiceover, and then I edited that, and then I edited video over top of it. It was all a ton of work. I actually like this slideshow bit a bit more, but again, thank you so much for sticking through it all. You're the Palafin of my heart, but you know, don't get the wrong idea. Doxpin's right there. All right. You have a great day. Thanks again.